Hi, I'm Kat, and yes, I am a talking Polaroid. I have decided to vlog. That's like a vlog, but with a V for video. Vlog. Yup, I'm giving it a shot. So, I am going to tell you a little bit about how I ended up with reflex sympathetic dystrophy, and a little bit over the next coming post about what it's like to live with this condition and just anything else that I feel like telling you. Really? I will tell you. So, my RSD story begins a couple of years ago on a bright and sunny day in November. It was spring racing carnival. And I thought to myself, Kat, you've never been to the spring racing carnival. Why don't you give that a go? Seems like a good idea, doesn't it? Well, it didn't turn out to be such a good idea. I went along to Derby Day with hundreds of thousands of other people. Apparently, the day that I decided to go was the busiest Derby Day that ever had been at that point, and I'm not sure if the succeeding years have beaten it or not, but who cares? So, I went to Derby Day and I wore a pretty red dress. I um I have some visual aids to help with my story. The aid, it doesn't quite depict that the dress was red, but you should know that it was a really pretty red dress, and that I was the lady in red. And this was me, and I went to the races, and you can see my big glass of champagne. Ooh, I'm having so much fun! Go, Gorky Park! Ooh, look at the horses and the people and the champagne! This is wonderful! So that was me, the start of the day. That was me cheering for Gorky Park, who actually did win me some money. I don't remember what he came. I think it was perhaps third, but I got paid. It was cool. Um, so, one very, very important thing to remember when you decide to go to the spring racing carnival, any of the days, not just Derby Day, you should consider this if you plan on attending the Melbourne Cup, and that is don't wear shoes like this. These shoes are too high. Any sort of heel is too high for the spring racing carnival. I was going to show you the actual shoes, except that I don't have the actual shoes anymore on account of I sold them on eBay because people buy other people's old shoes on eBay. I know, it is a strange, strange world. So I've passed them on to some other sucker. You might think that I'm evil, but frankly, I believe that it's up to them to be more wise about where they shoes, where they shoes, where they wear the shoes than I was. I was silly. Don't be silly. Heels are bad. Heels are kind of like corsets when you think about it, because I mean, a corset, it's like this thing that you put on that oh oh that was my alarm. That was supposed to tell me when I was nearly at 10 minutes. Sorry. Sorry, I got distracted for a minute there. It was supposed to tell me when I was at 10 minutes on account of otherwise I will talk for a long time. But I started talking a while after I set the alarm, so I've got some time, and now I don't know how much time. Um, so hopefully I won't go over. But let's get back to the story. So I was at the races, and at some point I remember looking down, and that the strappy part of the shoe down here, here. My toes kind of came out the side of it. I mean, it didn't fall over, but it was kind of like a bit of a twisty and it hurt, but it didn't really stop me walking. It kind of took a really long time to get back from the races to my friend's house, which was walking distance, because I kept taking my shoes off and putting them back on, and taking them off and putting them back on, and then I just found some random stranger to hold on to, and I held on to him all the way home. Um, that was very nice of him, and I believe he actually came inside and then left again. He might have thought that he picked me up, but he didn't pick me up. I was just having trouble walking. Um, so the next day, I woke up and I had a really sore ankle. I couldn't walk. I could barely limp even. And I went to the doctor and he laughed at me. Yes. You know what? I don't think that I was the only girl to go in that day with a heel-related, races-related injury. So he said, stick your foot up, give it a couple of weeks. If it doesn't get better, come back. But after a couple of weeks, it was working again, and I could walk on it, and I was working, and everything was kind of normal. Until late December, I distinctly remember I was at my parents' house, and I got up out of my chair, and I stepped forward, and I got a really sharp pain through the bottom of my foot. And I said, oh, and I stepped again, and it happened again, and again, and pretty much it's happened a lot since then, most days. I also get weird aching pains and this really horrible pain where it feels like my foot is in a vice, except it's not just a vice with the bits on both sides. It's like a vice that is foot-shaped and has pressure pushing in from all of the sides of my foot, and I don't even think there is such a vice, but my foot seems to think there is. So it started doing all this weird stuff, and of course I went back to the doctor. They did the usual scans, and in an ultrasound they couldn't find one of my ligaments, so they concluded that I had snapped that ligament, and I would need surgery. So they put me in a cam walker, which is like one of those big inflatable like removable cast things, and I walked around in that for a couple of weeks, and that was cool. Went and saw the surgeon, got an MRI. MRI came back clean, and that particularly lovely surgeon said, well, your MRI has come back clean. There's nothing wrong with you. You can just get up and walk out of here. Which I knew wasn't exactly true, on account of I was having a lot of trouble even getting around on the crutches at that stage. So I thanked him for his lovely assistance, and I crutched out of there. I was at a bit of a loss as to what to do after that. Someone at work recommended that I go and see a physio that he knew. Gave me quite a good recommendation, which turned out to be warranted because he has been a lovely physio. He, tried to work it, couldn't quite figure out what would be doing that either, hadn't seen it before. So he recommended I go and see a sports medicine doctor, who it has turned out has been my saviour. Thanks, Ben! He felt my foot, and at that time the right foot was much colder than the left foot, which is a sign of RSD. These limbs just tend to choose their temperature, completely irrelevant as the rest of my body. So it was cold, and he said, I think you have RSD. And I said, well, what the hell is RSD? So he got his medical book down off the shelf and photocopied the page for me to go home with, which I did, and a referral to see a pain specialist. So that brings us through my diagnostic era. All in all, that took about 4 or 5 months before I finally got the RSD diagnosis. I'm going to leave it there for now. So I will pick it up next time and tell you what happened when I saw the pain specialist. Bye!